Parents of Reddit, when did you realize your kid was creepy? When he started whispering, just randomly to himself, right at the edge of hearing. It took us a while to work out what it was. It was like the scene in The Sixth Sense. My young son does this sometimes. It comes and goes. In his case, he is an anxious kid and it appears to be some kind of verbal tic that appears when he's feeling overwhelmed. The Lego torture chamber he built was really well thought out. To be fair, many kids seem to be obsessed with torture the first time they encounter it, like in a movie or something. While waiting at a crosswalk for the light to turn green, my 3-year-old was asking why I don't just cross right away. I tell him that I might get hit by a car and be killed if I am not careful. He turns to me and says, "But daddy, you don't die on the road, you die in a fire." That's genuinely creepy and not also cause for psychological intervention. I asked my 7-year-old cousin if she was excited for my sister to have her baby. At first she was kind of sad, because she wouldn't be the youngest in the family anymore. Moments later she brightened up. "Oh, that'll be good, because if they're younger than me then I won't be left alone when Nathan dies." Nathan is her 12-year-old brother. I think she was just thinking way too far into the future, but still came out a little creepy. I've 2 kids and they are both creepy. When my son was 4, he told me he wished he could cut my head off and take it to school with him. A couple of weeks after her 5th birthday, I'm putting my daughter to bed and she asks, "Why doesn't the lady in my wardrobe like you, daddy?" I told her she has to pay rent, sweetie. This is just yesterday alone. Mom, here is my drawing. It's a man robbing old people. See the fire? Mom, my life is terrible. It's full of sadness and lies. His fish died 2 months ago. Fine, why don't you just bury me somewhere then? At least it will be quiet there. He is 6. He also wrote a song for his dead fish. Your child is the true emo kid from 2008 MySpace era. I woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of my 18-month-old running around her room. I walked to her room, opened the door, and saw nothing. It was almost completely dark, and there was no toddler running around. I called out to her playfully, "Erica, where did Erica go?" Silence. And then, from behind me, SSHHHHHHH. I almost screamed. She was standing, completely still and quiet, in a dark corner of the room the whole time, and decided that shushing me as loudly as possible was a good idea. I lost 10 years of my life. She's 3 now and continues to be the child out of a horror movie. I'm hoping I can raise her to be a productive demon member of society. She also yells, "Fix the cat's tail. Fix it, mom," whenever I am using scissors for anything. I don't know what she means by it, and I don't know where she got the idea, but all sharp objects are locked away very securely. I honestly don't know what fixing the cat's tail involves. I don't ever want to know. We were in FL during Hurricane Matthew. I woke up at 5 AM the morning before it hit to my 9-year-old son sitting up in bed repeating over and over, "Category 5 hurricane, the eyes across the street. Category 5 hurricane, the eyes across the street." Freaked me the heck out. After I turn out the lights, my daughter likes to stare at herself in the mirror and laugh maniacally. That's normal. She's just laughing at the real version of herself that she trapped in the mirror long ago. Not my kid, but a childhood story about my wife. She was 7, watching a show with her parents that included a mass execution by firing squad. Her parents were big on reality exposure, but the show wasn't, I'm told, especially gory or bloody, just kind of stark. After the shooting stopped, she turns to her mum and asks, "How did they know if they died?" Her mum replies with something like, "Well, they were shooting a lot of bullets at them, so they wouldn't be likely to survive." Wife replies, "But it would have been so much easier to shoot them one by one and tick their names off the list." Her dad told this story at our wedding dinner. Good times. Hey, she was being organized. Nothing wrong with that. Actually, my dad told me from at least 2 years old until I was about 6 or 7, I would bury matchbox cars in the backyard, replete with an elaborate funeral setup. I'd dig a small rectangular hole several inches deep, line up the survivors around it, then slowly drive lower the dead one and then bury it. He said there's no way I would have seen anything like that at that age, and he had no clue where I got it from. His eyes look away in the distance as he said, "There must be hundreds of cars under that yard." I like your dad's reaction. I used to butcher beetles and put them in my mud pies and then I would bury the mud pies. I was about that age and had seen funerals on TV. I bet that's where you got it from too. Ha. I'm not sure which was the first clue. My daughter is a very high functioning kid with ASD. She also has an empathy disorder, very low empathy for human beings, and doesn't feel pain like other people. One good memory is when she was 4 or so, and looking at a globe. Suddenly she said there are too many houses with too many people in them. One day they are all going to burn. It's very sad. Or, her first full sentence when she was almost 2. I want meat with blood on there. Recently I was creeped out by her describing the sensation of being bitten by one of her mice. She talked about how she could feel it push its teeth all the way into her finger. Then the mouse started to pull the teeth back, but then push them back even deeper. Giggling like this is the cutest thing in the world. Blood running out of her finger. Oh, and when she thought one of her mice ate its own babies, she said, well, it's a mother's choice. She did think it was wrong when we found out it was another mouse eating the babies, though. There's something about flying a kite at night that's so unwholesome. Hello mother dear. Not a parent but a brother. My older brother and I realized my little brother was creepy when we would get random girls coming up to us in the halls in school, asking us to tell our little brother to stop asking them for nudes or to stop staring at them or touching them or just messaging them in general. My brother and I would always tell our little brother and he would deny everything. I went through his phone and saw everything he was saying to these people and confronted him about it and he still denied it. My older brother graduated and my little brother and I moved schools. From what I've heard from people here, he is already at large again. Yo, shut that crap down. Tell your parents about that. Get him some help. When my daughter was a year and a half old, she got out of her bed in the middle of the night, came up to me while I was sitting at my desk and goes the fire. It's coming. SHHH. With a finger to her lips and then goes back to bed. Then when she was 2 she and I were playing with her baby dolls on her bed. And I ask her, sweetie, do you want mommy to have another baby? And she looks me dead in the face. Takes a pillow, holds it over one of her dolls and whispers no. At 3 she comes up to me, strokes my ear softly and whispers take your ear off. Mommy, I do it. Finally, on her 3rd birthday she was in her room popping balloons from her party and I hear her go pop all the balloons. Pop all of the joy. She's harmless. That I know of, but she's a little creepy somebody sometimes. I think you may want to contact the Vatican for a consultation. I'm a regular babysitter of 2 boys, age 9 and 5. Both are horrible listeners and very difficult to manage, but the oldest one seriously may have some issues. He's incredibly smart. He's in the 4th grade and is already at an 8th grade reading level. I mean, I'm talking about a very intelligent kid who knows right from wrong. These are some things I've experienced. Little brother was in the bathtub when older brother came in and pee on him because he wanted to and it was fun. Older brother punched younger brother in the face, stepped on his head, and started choking him. I asked him why he would hurt his brother so badly, and he responded, because I like to hurt him. Draws demons, skulls, and demogorgon-like creatures all over his homework. Remember, the kid is 9, very manipulative to get his way. For example, the kids were misbehaving so I took away electronics. Oldest boy screamed and yelled in my face, then took my phone and threw it into the woods behind his house. Tried to make a wager with me that he wouldn't retrieve my phone until he got the PlayStation back. Think I might be dealing with a sociopath here. Please tell me you're telling the parents about these incidents. Not a parent, but rather the kid that informed another kid's parents of some creepy behavior that she had shown. This was years ago when I was only 7 or 8 years old. I'm 20 now, and I was good friends with this girl and her parents were friends with my mom. I was staying the night one day when I woke up to see their daughter standing by the bed I was in. I asked her what she was doing and she didn't respond. I started to get creeper out so I turned on the bedside lamp and saw that she was holding a butcher's knife. I called for my mom and my friend bolted from the room. That night my friend's parents started watching her closely for any more odd behavior. Sure enough, she would talk to herself and displayed severe paranoia. They took her to see a doctor and found out she had schizophrenia. That poor girl's life has changed so much and her parents' lives have been filled with stress and fear ever since. The same this G that happened to me happened to them. She is doing well now with her medicine, but her parents split up because the father couldn't handle the stress. She blames herself and it is heartbreaking. I'm just glad she got the help she needed before anything really bad happened. Thank you for including the second half of the story about her struggles with finding appropriate treatment and about how she does actually care about her family. It's nice to see a well-rounded depiction of someone with mental illness, even in a Reddit comment. When my youngest daughter was 3, one night she looked over at me and smiled and said, "Mommy, I'll never kill you," and placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. He. We weren't even talking about death or anything. My mom said that when I was really little, 2-4ish, I would sneak into their room sometimes and pry her eyes open and whisper, "Feed me." Apparently she asked why I did that and I told her I didn't want to scare her awake. My nephew came over and my dog Wiley nipped him on the leg. He was okay and we won't have kids around the dog anymore. Anyway, he asked me if Wiley was going to get in trouble. I said yes he will. What do you think should be his punishment? In his a very sweet, high-pitched little boy voice he said, "I don't know. He could get a spanking or get yelled at," and then his voice suddenly dropped very low and he said, "Or kill the dog." Then his voice went back to normal and he went on, "Or take away his toys or tell him he's bad." Freaked me and my brother out. Don't punish the dog. He can detect and protect you from evil. Clearly. Was doing a pig roast and talking to the kids about it. Asked them if they were going to eat any and my sweet little angel said, "I want to eat the face." She was quite excited about it. She had just recently turned 3. Pork jowl done right is freaking delicious. Girl knows her cuts is all. My 3-year-old comes up to me and says, "Here comes the gas man SSSHHHHHHHHHHH," and shoves her pretend gas hose in my face. No idea where that came from. She's actually cupping farts at you. One day I was staying the night at a friend's house. Deeply religious woman. She used to let her kids, age 7 and 10 at the time, watch BC era Christian movies, many of which were very violent. I was concerned, at first, that it might have a negative effect on them, but she assured me they showed no real signs of danger. Well, while I slept over, I woke up at around 2 AM thinking I heard somebody break in. I heard shuffling feet and a whole lot of shushing. I tried to wake the mother up, but she was completely knocked out, so I grabbed the best weapon I could find, and start slowly walking toward the noise. I get to the kitchen, and her 2 little sons are there, with Spider-Man masks on, holding a stuffed animal impaled by a stick over the fire. They must not have heard me walk in, and I overheard one of them talking about the final burning of the lamb. I made a swift 180 and walked directly back into the bedroom, walked calmly over to the mom, and violently shook her until she woke. I leaned into her ear and told her, "Jane, your sons are sacrificing a stuffed animal in your kitchen." Definitely one of the strangest experiences of my life. When he told me I wouldn't be alive anymore by the time he was my age. I'm 27. We moved into a new apartment with my 6-month-old boy. Third night in, he was in my lap while my wife and I were watching TV. He stared at the empty corner and suddenly started giggling as if someone was playing with him. He did that for 15 minutes. Did it almost daily over the course of the next 6 months. Same corner. We moved the frick out as soon as lease ended. Not my kid, but a family friend of mine has a daughter that was always kind of odd to me, and my opinion was reassured when Fixation they had bought a kid, was found dead, in a backpack, underneath a pile of toys. When they asked why the kitten was zipped up in the backpack and then hidden, she simply replied, "I told you I didn't want a cat." No remorse, or even emotion in her voice. Kid's nuts. WTF. That's not just creepy, she straight up killed a living creature. Maybe I just don't understand the context dynamic, but that's fricked man. My son did insist that he was my father, and that I look like him versus him looking like me. It makes me wonder if there is some Terminator level time manipulation looping going down. Did I travel back in time at some point and father myself? Did he travel back in time and father me? 5-year-old told this joke in the car last week. Knock knock. Who's there? Lem. Lem who? Lemon or I'll kill you. Older brother turns to him and says, EEI, that's creepy. I think he'll kill you is common with younger people because they don't really get what it means. Could be wrong though, and your kid is evil. My oldest son is 7. He has a twin sister, and ever since he was 1 year old he would always smash any dolls we gave him head first into the ground. When he turned 3 and could walk, he would follow you around and stare at you behind your back, like a little evil demon. He's so sneaky too. I wouldn't know he had this hobby if it wasn't for the cameras in the house. He pretends to be all happy and smiling when you notice him, but he just gets this blank stare every time your back is turned. He also told my wife and I, when he could talk well, that he was smashing dolls to let us know how he died in his past life. He claims he was born the 11th of February, 1808, and he was murdered when he was 15 by a friend of his past parents. That the man who murdered him bashed his head into the ground and was never caught. He has nightmares where he wakes up screaming, and he says he keeps seeing himself being killed every night. He also claims that he chose to be his parents, that he waited, watching this whole time, to pick out who he wanted his parents to be. The part about him pretending to be happy only when you're watching and then immediately going into a blank stare is really disturbing. But as far as the past life stuff goes, I've heard plenty of stories about kids remembering their past lives, and I find it pretty interesting. Maybe not so much the part about him getting murdered though. Last night from midnight until 2 in the morning my 10-month-old daughter was just laying in her crib staring right into the baby monitor. She wasn't blinking or making any sounds, but I could see her beady black eyes just staring as if she was watching me. 1. When we woke up at 3 AM to her screaming and hysterical toddler who kept yelling "Monster Man took my teddy," and we rewatched the nanny cam back and she was up from 1-3 playing in the corner with somebody who wasn't there. I can't go into it right now. He's standing right behind me. This is a friend's creepy kid, about 11 or 12 years old. I was at a yard party and I walk up on my friend and his kid. This kid has a lizard and he's squeezing the crap out of it. By the time I walk up, blood and guts are oozing out of the poor thing. It's dead. This kid is laughing, going on and on about all the cool stuff coming out. He was revved up. Wouldn't surprise me if he was sporting a half chub. I mean, he was into it. I looked at his dad and it's actually the first time I ever really connected with the phrase rictus grin. The guy was looking at his kid with that frigging smile and total fear on his face. It was like something out of a movie. Creepy as it gets. I'm pretty sure I'll see this kid on the news sometime in the next few years as a serial killer. Torturing animals is a pretty early sign for psychopathic tendencies. I hope the parents are staying as alert as possible. I have realized 2 things in this category. 1. My daughter is creepy all the time, but only when it's just me and her. 2. I'm the dumb parent who walks right into every creepy scene from every creepy movie ever. When daughter was 3 she slept until 8:30 AM every morning. But one dreary day at 6 AM I hear the front door alarm go off. So I roll out of bed to check out the situation. The front door is open, and daughter is not out front, or in entry, or kitchen. Then I see her sitting on the ground, behind the curtains, right up to our sliding glass door. She was tapping on the glass singing "Twinkle Twinkle" to herself. I just walk right up and pull the curtain back and get her up and back to bed. But damn neat all if that doesn't constantly remind of that scene from Signs. And I am the father who just walks right up to the jump scare. Shame. Dang shame. Not my daughter, but when my little sister was about 3-4 years old, she started sleeping in my parents' bed more than was normal. When my mom asked her, "Do you think you could try staying in your bed tonight?" my little sister responded, "Okay, but can you tell the lady to stop standing by my bed at night?" My 6-year granddaughter made a bunch of remarks about the family she used to live with. Before I was dead last time. That sincerely freaked out my daughter-in-law. My son laughed and thinks it's awesome. When I was pregnant with him, I had non-stop freaky butt dreams every time I slept, and while I can excuse most of them, one involved my son turning into a demon and chasing me through a factory building. I had to hide in a glass tank so my child wouldn't murder me. Today, he's a very sweet boy, but he's odd. Literature cultural theorist here. During the 18th century, it was believed that the woman's ideas and imagination during pregnancy could shape the entire outcome of the child's life. Examples being that a mother who often craved strawberries would have a child sporting a strawberry birthmark. Not a parent, but I noticed my brother's kid manipulating his younger brother to do something that was going to cause the younger brother to get disciplined severely. He did it, the younger kid got his butt beat, and the older brother just stood there with this creepy butt freaking grin on his face. I hate kids. My brother yelled and spanked the kid after the kid sprayed a hose through the window of the house, causing the water to kill my brother's work computer. He was then spanked. Not hard. The kid didn't even cry. The kids were not even aware the computer was under that window. So calm the frick down. There was no physical abuse. The computer, which is the real tragedy of this story, was replaced by my brother's company and all the files were backed up on a note. One night I'm laying in bed, facing the hallway. Everything is dark. I see my 5-year-old son's bedroom door open. He walks out, stands facing towards me for a couple of seconds, and then starts crawling on all fours down the hallway towards my room. All I could see was his dark little figure coming towards me. It freaked me out so bad. I had to call out to him and tell him to stop and get back up. This had me crying laughing. Such a good mental picture. Driving in the car with my 4-year-old a couple weeks ago. Him. Mom, I want to go to the field with the rocks. Me. What rocks? Him. The rocks with people's names on them. Me. What? I have idea what you're talking about. Him. The rocks with the names of the dead people. Mom. Me. Oh, the cemetery? Why do you want to go there? Him. Yes. I want to go dig up the dead people and look at them. He will also wake up in the middle of the night and stand at my bed staring at me until I wake up. He's a sweet kid, though, just weirdly obsessed with dead people. I think that my parents tried to pretend that I wasn't creepy. When I was 8, I asked for the Alien trilogy for Christmas on VHS. I loved horror films. My other favorite series was the Jaws series. My favorite games were the Silent Hill series. I looked at some of my old school and papers from elementary school. I wrote a book for school called Aliens Took Over the Internet circa 1997. Later that year, our class was asked to draw our own version of Santa Claus. My Santa was called Psycho Santa. He had a straitjacket and he was receiving electroshock therapy. Don't have a kid, but I am the sister of a little crap. My relationship with him is always defense, offense, defense, offense, because he won't take frick off for an answer. Tried to control how I dress, tried to control what I put into my body, thinks I shouldn't drive. By the way, the kid is 10, I am older than him by a long shot, and also thinks coming into my room at night is okay. Apparently, I can't go into his room to grab the crap he stole from me because no girls allowed. Sorry for venting. I'm not the parent, but I'm the creepy kid. Apparently when I was a baby, every day without fail around 5-6 I would start laughing and babbling to myself like I was talking with friends or whatever. I could be facing a wall, on a high chair chilling somewhere or any place really, but no matter what, once it reached 5 PM to 6 PM, I would start laughing hysterically and interacting with no one. I didn't believe my parents till they showed me some of what they caught on tape. It's bizarre. Once when my son was about 3 and had just started potty training, he was starting to do the telltale pee dance. I told him that he needs to go and try to use the potty. He turned, eyes as big as saucers, looked straight at me and said, "I can't go in there, mama. There's a bad man." Abruptly started backing away and crying. One of the most terrifying things ever, especially since that was one of the first full sentences he said. Apparently when I was little I told my auntie that when she died I wanted to have her body stuffed and use it as a coffee table in my house. When my kid was 3 she said, "Daddy, are monsters real?" I said, "No, sweetie, they're not." She said, "Then what's that behind you?" Turned around, nothing there. So creepy. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.